Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight I want to welcome Steve and Schnee to the channel. Tonight is part 2 in our Osmond series. Well, quote unquote. But tonight we're going to look at Donny Osmond in the 70s. We want to hear from you in the chat. Let's do it.
Grant is changing the world one track at a time on Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Mr. Schnee, how are you? Nice to see you. What's
Good,
happening?
nice to see you.
It's
Nothing much. Just spending all day prepping for Donny.
Yeah.
See, again, since with the light change, you're not getting the right effect. But I got the purple light going on in the background.
It looks like your arm's being severed as well by the.
I know by that.
laser.
Arg. It's like
We got 4 people watching. This is going to be a really hot and heavy show. It's not like the Osmond show, I don't think.
But it's for anybody that's here already that missed the Osmond show, we covered the Osmonds in the 70s, and that was a show that we called Miles of Smiles, and we covered the Chew.
Go ahead and show those. Schnee.
Okay, that's the first 2 albums. Then the next 2 albums, phase 3 right there is, oh my gosh, that was the beginning of awesomeness. And then of course you got Crazy Horses in the Plan. That's more awesomeness. And then Love Me for a Reason and I'm Still Gonna Need You. This album, I'm Still Gonna Need You, was known as the Proud One in the US. And then finally, these are the 2 Donny-less. Well, actually, one of these have Donny.
Yeah, one has Donny.
Yeah, one of them doesn't. And we are not covering Jimmy. And unfortunately, financially, I cannot afford the Donny Marie, but I do have one of them, and this is the best one because it has Deep Purple on it. But we're not going to be talking about Donny and Marie. We're going to just focus on Donny's solo albums. Basically, none of them or all of them are on CD except one. And that's the album called Donald Clark Osmond from 1977. But I'm still familiar with the album. So if you've got it, we can talk about it.
Well, I don't have a physical copy, but I went online and listened to it.
Yeah.
And, first of all, people out there are going, what are you covering Donny Osmond for? Well, okay. We planned on doing this. We did the Osmond show. And if you remember from that show, I really wasn't that familiar with any of the Osmond stuff. I always looked at them as fluff. I kind of thought they're not really true artists by any degree. Come on, they probably didn't even play their instruments. But as we looked at these records, see, Schnee was already turned on to it. He was already hip to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I
saw the Osmonds live in 74.
But holy crap, ladies and gentlemen, go down and watch that show. That got a lot of views. And it's still getting more views.
Mm-hmm.
But that trilogy of records, phase 3, Crazy Horses, and The Plan are must-have records. This is where, the first couple of Osmond albums, they weren't taking the bull by the horns as of yet. But man, on those trilogy of records, top-notch stuff. And for those who think that the Osmonds couldn't rock, they totally rock.
Oh, yeah. You listen to phase 3 and Crazy Horses and The Plan, you are going to be blown away. There's some of The Plan is prog.
Correct. It's a prog album. It's prog, yet a concept album kind of combined.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but it still has that ooey gooey yumminess that the Osmonds music always has. The interesting thing about this is that and we talked about this during the show, is that we were planning actually to do this all the way back in October or so, and just life got in the way and all this kind of stuff. So unfortunately, we did the show. I believe it was 2 weeks after Wayne had passed away, and it was bittersweet. It would have been nice. I mean, Lord knows what shape he was in, but it would have been nice if somehow Wayne found out that there are some guys out here that are speaking their gospel, so to speak.
Yep. But the real reason we're really looking at Donny.
Yeah.
Because, okay, the Osmonds were really their own thing. Yes, Donny was part of the Osmonds. He played keyboards, he did background, but he was not the main member in that group. Donny had his own career. So I thought, well, basically, those Osmond albums are at least those 3 core albums or must-haves. And of course, a lot of people have chimed in on the other show, like, "Oh my God, I went out and checked out what you guys said, and oh my gosh, those records, man, Crazy Horses worth getting." But Donny had his own career, and this really is to check it out and say, is it just bubblegum? Is there any substance here? Because he put out albums from 71. I think the last one in the 80s was at 78.
You mean in the 70s? Was 77, I believe, and that was
7 on Polydor.
Yeah, on that was the album Donald Clark Osmond.
Okay. So, and then after that, he took a period where he wasn't putting out anything until like 1990. Now, in between some of these, there's some spaces where Donny Marie did some things because he I guess he put his own solo career temporarily on hold.
There was
Donny Marie.
There was Donny Marie, and then he did a lot of, like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and everything. There's some people here. Hello, Kyle. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Annie. Hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by and listening to us jibber jabber.
Look at this. Mike Lawson is here. And Mike Lawson never comes on here. Nice
Really?
to see you, Mike. Thanks for see, he knows. He knows.
I'm happy to see everybody. So
yeah, it's good to be alive. Oh, wait a minute. Here, Kathy goes, I saw Donny in 2024 in Columbus, Ohio. Is absolutely amazing. Well, he's an absolutely amazing performer. There's a lot of talent, but we're going to look at these records and see what's going on here. Now, I just can't believe we're looking at this record with this photo to our left.
I know.
First Donny Osmond album, 1971. Schnee, do you want to?
Well, first off, as you said earlier, the first Osmonds album, I think, was just self-titled in I think 1970. It was sort of to test the waters. Donny had a couple lead vocals on that, including Sweet and Innocent. And the band was mostly Merrill singing, but you also had Jay, Alan, and Wayne singing as well. And am I forgetting one? Jay, Alan, Wayne, and well, yeah, because I already said Merrill. And so there was such a big a reaction to Donny that they kind of refocused it. It may have been this way before, but they were smart because they had, as Grant said, Donny was a member of the Osmonds, but his solo career was different. And on this first album, there's 2 songs that were taken from the Osmonds debut album, Flirtin', and you hear vocals by all the guys, and also Sweet and Innocent. But me being the nerd that I am, the Sweet and Innocent on the first Osmonds album is in stereo, whereas the CD, I mean, I don't have the vinyl of this stuff anymore, but the CD version, it's in mono. Either way, it's wonderful, great, bubbly piece of pop. Great single, and I believe that it was released on single as like Donny Osmond of the Osmonds, or Donny Osmond and the Osmonds.
You mean the single, the actual 45?
Yeah, the actual 45. So this album came out, and it was an instant hit. In fact,
got to number 13 on the charts.
Yeah,
and that's a success in my book.
Yeah, but the songs that are going to be familiar with most people are going to be Sweet and Innocent, I'm Your Puppet. Like I said, Flirtin' was on the first album, so that's going to be familiar. And generally speaking, what they were doing with Donny is they were having him handle oldies and some new material. So when you got a Donny Osmond album, you were getting him re-recording songs from the 50s and 60s, or mostly the 60s, I suppose. Hi, Angie.
Really, Marlon?
And
Really?
it moved further away from that because like half the album was like oldies covers, and then there's some stuff that was written for the album, or maybe that they chose for the album, more modern stuff.
But you know what? You make that notation about how they were using a lot of old 50 stuff. But look,
oldies but goodies.
Oldies but goodies. But Schnee, they did the same thing with Sean Cassidy used that formula. Leif Garrett used that formula. I mean, look, Sean Cassidy even had hits doing it.
Yeah, it was really popular. Just think about Yesterday Once More by the Carpenters.
Yeah.
Going back and singing about the old or kind of like the resurgence of the music of the 50s and 60s. And they actually had a medley on the album that featured them tackling it too. But, we'll do the Carpenters on another episode.
Let me ask you this, because I do think it's kind of fascinating that they would mix. Mostly this is like an album of remakes. Why do you think that was? Why do you think they went down that road instead of maybe having the Osmond brothers write him a bunch of hits? Or Donny, of course, he was pretty young. Was he like 14 here?
13 maybe.
Maybe, but what is it with these albums and some of these pop artists like this where they would use a lot of these old tracks?
I think at this point it was a label thing. I don't know that. I don't have an inside peek at the group. But I think it was a label thing where the label said, remember how what was it? The second Osmond album was Homemade. That was basically a carbon copy of the first album. Yeah. So it's kind of it was the label just kind of just saying, do this, do this, do this. And the Osmonds, or when they would perform, they started out like as a barbershop quartet. Then they started going into pop. And I believe during their live shows, they did a lot of these songs, or at least some of these songs.
Look at the Bee Gees. Yeah. Similar story.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember them doing any kind of 50 songs or anything.
Yeah.
But
so
similar beginnings.
Mm-hmm. And then, you get to this point and it's their workload. That's really, I think, what I want to stress here is the workload is just tremendous because you've got Donny doing 1 or 2 albums a year, the Osmonds doing 1 or 2 albums of the year, touring, rehearsing, promoting. I'm wondering if they ever had any time off between 1970 and 1973, 74. Because there was so much stuff.
Yeah, Donny's doing 2 albums a year, did 2 in 71, 2 in 72, 2 in 73, and then it started to trail off because by that time, his time has come and passed. But
well, the Osmonds' time as well. I mean, they were sort of
right.
Yeah.
But think about how much Donny was doing at this time. If he was still making those records with the Osmonds and doing his solo stuff, the kid was busy.
Yeah, I'm thinking, again, I don't know, but I'm thinking that this is a situation where probably a lot of Donny's recordings were probably recorded the same sessions as the Osmond stuff. Because I can't imagine them laying down. And plus, you can tell with Donny's stuff, each album, you can tell there's stuff that's like perfect, good stereo. Mm-hmm. And then there's another recording that's mono, another recording that's stereo, maybe a little bit more. So it seems like maybe they had such a busy recording career that they would just pick and choose what to put on albums. Again, just, my thoughts. But they were so busy. Did they even know? I mean, was it like, remember with the Monkees? They didn't know about the album More of the Monkees until somebody walked up to them and asked them to autograph it. And they're going, what is this?
Yeah.
And But I think at some point within a few years, the Osmonds had full control over what they were doing.
Yeah, by the time phase 3,
mhm.
they were calling the shots because that's when things really started to come
Get a
together.
lot
Now
better.
with
Yeah.
Donny's career, I don't detect anything unless we're going to maybe 1977 or maybe Disco Train in 1976, where he may have had some kind of say, but I don't. It's what Donny did and what the Osmonds, 2 different career paths, pretty much. You know,
Right, right. But they're also, in my opinion, 2 different audiences.
correct.
Because you're looking at Merrill, Alan, Wayne, Jay. They're older. They want to appeal to maybe the older teens, early 20s, where Donny was definitely appealing to the little girls and the preteens and stuff like that. And it was a great marketing move because when they would go out on tour, they would go out on tour together. So they're bringing in these big crowds. Some people were coming to see the Osmonds, some were coming to see Donny. And then they would add Jimmy to the show and they would add Marie to the show. So it was a family affair. And that's the great thing about the Osmonds is it was always family. So all his brothers were involved in the makings of his albums. And they would contribute songs. And in fact, one of my absolute favorite Donny Osmond songs was written by Alan, Merrill, and Wayne. And we'll get to that soon.
All right. So
this is just a great little bubblegum album.
Great little bubblegum album. Don't take it too seriously. But for bubblegum, I checks that box. I mean, it's decent. It's well recorded, well produced.
Mm-hmm.
It was meant for a certain audience, and it's fine. I mean, I wouldn't reach for it every day, but there's certain tracks on here, those hits that were on this record that I think they're
Just
decent,
Great little bubblegum songs. I think that people always have to approach things in a way that's, I'm not saying favorable to what you're listening to.
Kathy, can you calm down? Just
I don't think because if you're if you love Captain Beefheart and the Residents and Can and Noi and things like that, and you go, well, Kraftwerk's a little too commercial, you're not the person that should be listening to Donny Osmond. Right. But if you like Beatles, Monkees, Archies, Rubinoos, Power Pop, just great AM radio, if you love Brandy by Looking Glass, that's the type of people that were listening to the Osmond. I mean, even if you were into HR Puffin stuff or
Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Yeah, if you're into Johnny Whitaker and the Brady Bunch records and of course early Jackson 5 records, that's the type of audience. I happen to love it all. I can listen to the Buzzcocks followed by Donny Osmond. I can listen to Stiff Little Fingers followed by the Osmonds. To me, there is no genre. The only genre in my world is good music, and good music has to be melodic and, in my opinion, made for the right reasons, which is it has to feel good. So I'm not going to listen to early Sisters of Mercy. I'd rather listen to XTC and Donny Osmond right after my the Donny Osmond album. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah, to you with love.
Yeah,
this is the one that
Donny.
This is the one that Kathy really probably likes because she probably feels that he is presenting this to her, and. But this was released in 1971, reached number 12 in the U.S. Another success, Steve. Featured the hit "Go Away Little Girl," which hit number 1.
And "I Knew You When," which was another. See, here's the thing about this record. This record I compared to Homemade. I believe that they go, okay, we know what sticks. Let's do another album of that. Like the song "Little Bit." Isn't that the one that has a, has like the same keyboard riff that Sweet and Innocent does, and I think that's insulting to an artist when they do stuff like that. When the label just says, "Here, go out and record something that sounds just like your biggest hit." But even though I'm not a huge fan of the full album, it does have, as I said, I Knew You When, which is wonderful. See, here's the thing about Donny is even back then, okay, he's 13, 14, 15 at the
He's
oldest.
probably 50. Well, he's probably, I think he was 14 in 71.
Was he 1471?
Mhm.
He's got emotional connection to the songs, which I find, Michael Jackson did the same thing. You can hear that they're connecting with the song. So there's a couple songs on here though that seems like he didn't quite have the rhythm of the song. Like, the song was supposed to be more like da 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 da, but he was like da 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 da, slightly off rhythm. But that's what you're going to get when you walk into the studio and they said, "Hey, sing the song." I mean,
Wow.
but I mean that's my opinion only. But this album has "Do You Want Me," which is an amazing song written by Alan Merrill and Wayne Osmond. And some people know the song as "We Can Make It Together," because Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet had a single, or had a version of it released as a single, which is incredible. I play it on Ski Lodge, and it has the Osmonds on it. And this has a very similar arrangement, but the Steve and Edie version is bigger and fuller. And oh my God, it's such an amazing song. I did my top favorite Osmond songs video a couple years ago. It has like 10,000 or 13,000 views or something. I didn't include the song in it, and now this particular song has moved up from not being on my charts.
Again, Kathy, calm down. God, I never saw anybody so much in heat.
Well, you talk to me all the time.
Well, I know you're always in heat. Oh, look, Annie T's rolling her eyes.
But yeah, just an incredible song.
Sydney says it's because DC knows how to use his tool. You guys are bad.
Why?
Anyway, I'm so sorry, Steve. You were on a roll, and
yeah, I was on a roll. But anyway, that song that what's it called? "Do You Want Me" is incredible. I mean, it is. So you got "I Knew You When," "Go Away Little Girl," and that song. I think like I'm not a big fan of his "A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You," the Monkey song,
yeah, it's all right,
or "Bye Bye Love" or whatever. But it's a good album. But those three songs I mentioned, especially "Do You Want Me," oh, I mean, friggin'
pop goodness.
It is so pop goodness. But you have to be aware. He a few albums from now, he records another song called "Do You Want Me," but it's not the same one. And it's written by the same three guys. One difference is this is "Do You Want Me? We Can Make It Together," parentheses. The other one is just "Do You Want Me?" question mark.
Yeah.
So
considering his audience at the time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody noticed.
Donny was always a little bit rock and roll, 100%.
Yep.
Just watch that footage of the Osmonds in concert. Watch the footage of them playing Crazy Horses. Case closed.
I'll tell you, watch the footage on the Flip Wilson show of them lip syncing Yo-Yo. Holy cow. Like I said, how did these guys rehearse that, record 2 Donny albums and 2 Osmond albums, and tour and do all those TV shows in 1 year?
I don't know.
See, these guys should be in, I'm sorry, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they're, I mean, more so than Green Day.
Yeah.
Definitely more so than Missy Elliott. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about that.
I don't think we've ever mentioned Missy Elliott on the show before. It's a first. All right. So anyway, I mean, it's a decent record. It's okay. Yeah. Next record, we are looking at Portrait of Donny.
This is when his voice started changing. And
so he'd be about 15.
And this is when his albums started getting even better, in my opinion.
Yeah, this got up to number 6 on the Billboard 200. This was his highest charting record. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's really solid. Let me see the songs that I
Hey Girl. Well, it's got Hey Girl and Puppy Love on it.
Puppy Love. I mean, Puppy Love was huge.
Huge.
But it's also got Promise Me, which was written by Alan, Merrill, and Wayne. Let My People Go sounds great. I kind of like his version of All I Have to Do Is Dream. I think it's better than his version of Bye Bye Love from the previous album.
Mm-hmm.
I think that his version of Hey There Lonely Girl is haunting. It's not as good as oh my gosh, I forgot. Hey There Lonely Girl. Eddie Holman. Eddie Holman did the remake. I think Ruby and the Romantics did Hey There Lonely Boy back in the 60s. And Big Man, I think, is a great song. Let me see. Love Me, another Alan, Wayne, and Merrill song. And then I have a problem with people doing covers of This Guy's in Love with You. And the reason I say that is because Herb Alpert was not a great singer, but he had the best voice for that song. If you go back and listen to anything he sings, even that song, you realize his voice is not strong. He's not a singer, but man, his song, the simplicity, him holding back those drug out or those dragged out notes, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this version. I mean, I'm an Andy Williams fan. I think this version is better than Andy Williams.
That's saying something too. That right there.
Yeah, because this has that sort of breezy, upbeat. It's not a slow ballad, and it's more breezy and upbeat. And I think it's different enough for me to say I like that version. It's not going to touch Herb's. No one can. Just like nobody can touch Close to You by the Carpenters, because Karen is like, why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? She's not dragging the notes out. And that's what I love, when a singer does not have to show off, because it's the song that matters.
Well said. Look, there's Webb. Webb, where have you been?
Hey, Webb was hanging out at the lodge last night.
Well,
and I appreciate it
Webb
very much.
Webb's getting out there.
Yeah.
DC, Steve, look for Andy's ghost to visit you about 4 a.m.
Andy's ghost? Who said that?
DC.
Oh.
Of course he did.
Yeah, that's true. You said something bad about
So anyway, this record, what's your thoughts? I mean, out of the early period, though we haven't looked at all of them,
this is the strongest of the 3 albums.
Okay.
Definitely, by far, the strongest of 3 albums.
I would have to agree so far. But we haven't got to the Polydor stuff yet, but we will. All right, so.
There's only one Polydor.
No, there's 2. Disco Train's on Polydor, and so's Donald Clark Osmond. There's 2 Polydors.
Oh, was Disco Train on Polydor? Okay.
Correct. That was the first one.
Okay.
And I kind of dig those. Because he's much more, it's a different Donny.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I know. I'm just
spoiler alert.
Right, the next one. There's no spoilers here, ladies and gentlemen. Next record we're going to take a look at is Too Young from 1972. This was released very quickly, shortly after the other record. They were cranking these things out.
Mm-hmm.
And this got up to number 11 too. So he is on a roll, and MGM is capitalizing on this, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Too Young, the title track, and Why, 2 more hit singles. Thoughts on these, Schnee? Thoughts on this record?
I think that Pretty Blue Eyes is, well, first off, I think this is almost as good as Portrait of Donny. His voice is getting deeper. He's allowing more emotion to come out in his voice. He's, again, connecting with the songs. He's not a kid going like, oh, gee, when we raise our kids or whatever. Now he's actually getting closer to raising kids. But Pretty Blue Eyes, great song. I think To Run Away, another Alan. Well, actually, that's Alan and Merrill, I think. I don't think Wayne co-wrote that.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think this is, Lonely Boy, and like you said, Why. Run to Him's another cool song. And
Different Donny. Yeah.
Last of the Red Hot Lovers. I think that song was co-written by Alan. And this is a song that they probably wanted Donny to do more of, the type of song. And Donny was probably going, oh, thank God Jimmy's starting to record now so he can do that other silly song. I'll be your long-haired lover from Liverpool. Last of the Red Hot Lovers is in that vein. I love that long-haired lover from Liverpool and Tweedledee by Jimmy Osmond, but I was buying those, I'm sorry, I wasn't buying them. I was receiving them as birthday and Christmas gifts when I was a kid. And my sister had the Donny Osmond and the Osmond albums. My sister Dana. And I think that Too Young is a very, very strong album.
Mm-hmm.
Again, better than the first two, but I still have to say, Do You Want Me? So far, it's my favorite song from this period.
I Want You. So the next record, because we're still cranking them out, we go to 1973. Where is it? Where is Alone? There it is. Alone Together, 1973.
Mm-hmm.
26 on the U.S. Billboard charts.
Mm-hmm.
Cover of 12th of Never, reaching number 8. It's showing a slight dip though, because this only got to 26 on the charts.
Well, I will tell you one thing you skipped, and we're not talking about it.
What
is at the end of 1972 for the Christmas market, he released the album My Best to You.
Okay.
And that album, which is not on CD, but you can find all the songs on all the other albums. I'll tell you right now, it's got Sweet and Innocent, Go Away Little Girl, I'm Your Puppet, Hey Girl, I Knew You When, Puppy Love, Too Young, Why, Lonely Boy, and We Can Make It Together, Do You Want Me? There it is again. So it has all the songs that we've talked that we've praised throughout the show.
Victoria, I think there might be 7 women in the chat.
Yeah, 7 women in the chat and 2 guys. And the 2 guys are.
But I'm very secure.
What do you mean you're very secure?
You know what I mean. Very secure. Oh, you
mean
I've got my
seatbelt on. I've got my seatbelt on.
Exactly. I don't want to fall out of the chair. Ash goes, more Osmonds, OMG. Well, we're talking about Donny, not the Osmonds. We did talk about the Osmonds, but anyway, so this has a slight dip. So do you think the Christmas record, maybe it's just too much Donny? I think you could be oversaturated.
We see this album though, I think is right up there with Portrait. Life is Just What You Make It, which is an Alan and Merrill song. The 12th of Never, which obviously was made big by Johnny Mathis, and that's another one of his oldies that he had to do. But there were a couple songs here that were written by Neil Sedaka and Howard Greenfield. Sunshine Rose, which I don't remember on a Neil Sedaka record, but it could be there. That's a great song. There's a song on the album here called Do You Want Me? That's the one with the question mark, which is not as good as the other one. But Alan Osmond wrote It's Hard to Say Goodbye. Young Love is on this album. But The Other Side of Me, which is another Sedaka Greenfield song. It's a great song. My favorite version of that song is by Andy Williams. And of course, I keep mentioning Andy Williams. Tears on My Pillow, by the way, is also great. And It Takes a Lot of Love is another fine song. I think this is a very fine album. But I was going to say that Andy Williams, I keep mentioning him, but I keep forgetting to say that Andy Williams was solely responsible for kickstarting the career of the Osmonds. They first appeared on his TV show in the early 1960s as a barbershop quartet. And as more Osmonds were born, they would add them to the lineup. And bingo. By the end of the 60s, you know what happened.
Yeah, weren't they on his show in like 63?
Yeah, something like that, 62, 63. One of the CDs that I have here, which I'm not going to talk about, I'll just show you. I didn't have it last time because I didn't know it existed. And I think it's kind of like a gray area thing where it's probably legit, but then maybe not, depending on which country you're in. but it's an album called Songs We Sang on the Andy Williams Show. And it's like all barbershop stuff. And Donny isn't even in the band. This is Jay down there.
Wow. I've seen that cover, but I didn't know it might be a gray market. It's hard to say.
Yeah, exactly. But it sounds good.
Look at this woman. Schnee could talk all day. Look at you. They're causing the women to swoon. Gosh, everybody calm down. Don't make a mess. Should have more fun. Good thing there wasn't a chat 55 years ago. Us 7 ladies would have rumbled to say who got to marry Donny.
Exactly.
God, we're starting a whole Donny Osmond movement, I think.
Oh my God, I got the thing in my face again.
I know. So anyway, you think that I'm sorry, did you think that record was damn near as good as Alone Together, or
I think Alone Together is as good as Portrait, or almost as good as.
Okay.
Ken, that's because they don't actually know me in real life. They avoid me. In real life, I'll go into a grocery store with my little basket of a couple things and go up there, and the girls will leave and have some guy come up and ring me up. So
let's talk Marina Playboy days. Did she pose for Playboy? I wasn't aware of that. Donny looks too similar to my brother. No thanks. Okay. I hear Schnee is taken. Are you taken?
Move on.
Is there something I need to know?
No.
Okay. I don't know what you're up to. So Donny Osmond, we're looking at A Time for Us, 1973. This performed even worse than the previous record. And I think definitely, well, it could be changing times. It could be oversaturation. There's probably a lot of different things. But, look how dreamy he looks there in the field.
Yeah.
When I was looking at all these, this is the album in my monkey brain that stood out to me. When I thought Donny Osmond album, it was this one.
Right.
So it didn't do very well. It did go in the UK to get to number 4.
Yeah. UK was a big market for him.
Yeah.
And this was, I sort of refer to this as kind of like the Elvis album. Because it seemed like on this album, well, I think he only did 2 songs. 3 songs that Elvis did. Hawaiian Wedding Song, which he performed in the movie Blue Hawaii. Are You Lonesome Tonight, of course, which was one of his big hits. And Unchained Melody, which Elvis recorded later. After Donny. But I think this is a pretty good album. I think it's back down to where Too Young. So it's not a bad album. It's just a really good pop album. But after A Time for Us, whatever the last one was,
Alone Together.
Yeah, Alone Together. After that, I think it just wasn't quite as strong as that.
But I kind of like more of this period later. I like an older, more mature Donny.
He sounds much better.
I think he sounds much better too. And
the
way he approaches the material on it.
Yep.
I mean, well, I'm just going to keep quiet or I'm going to ruin what I'm going to say. Webb's getting all worked up too. Webb, why? DC ladies, please faint if you must, but please refrain from throwing your undergarments.
Yeah, don't throw them in that direction.
Which direction's that?
Towards you.
No, I'm over here.
I know, but when I see.
Oh, I'm on the other side?
You're right here. I'm pointing to you.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm pointing to you now.
Let's touch fingers.
We can. Maybe I have to go this way.
No, do that.
Okay.
Keep your finger there. There we go.
All right. Jeez. Undergarments? Well, that's dating DC, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly.
That's what he says.
Actually, I think Annie's insinuating that she's not wearing any.
I don't think she is into that. I like a 67-year-old Donny.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so we've got this one. This record didn't do as well. I don't think there's any problem. I probably like it better than the previous record. So then we get to 1974.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not too much differentiation between these records, but I think Donny sounds better. This record, oh, this might work up Kathy. This peaked at number 57. This was the last album for MGM. It was got to 57. He was still charting fairly well in the UK. Got up to 16. So he really was quite popular over in Europe still. A lot more
Absolutely.
popular over there than he was here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This album starts off almost like a country album. It's got his covers of I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, and What's He Doing in My World. And you think that's the direction he's going in, but with every Osmond album and every Donny Osmond album, they mixed it up. You know, kind of an almost, hey, let's see what sticks. And I think that some people like maybe I'm being too optimistic. I'm thinking of like, hey, I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So let's mix this thing up. And other people are saying, yeah, they were chasing fame. They wanted another hit. So they did a disco song here. They did a country song here. They did a, whatever. I don't know. I like to think more optimistic as they were just doing what they wanted. And then they put together what they felt was a strong album.
Well, I think, there's parallels between this and the Osmonds career, obviously. And, eventually, we had those 3 very creative records from the Osmonds, the trilogy. And then after that, it becomes a lot more homogenized, so to speak, and a lot more, I wouldn't say it's any more commercial, though. I wouldn't say The Plan or, Crazy Horses is all that commercial. Those just seem like they're just doing what they do.
Now,
but those later records seem to be more focused commercially because to me, it sounds like things are slipping. We need to get a hit. We need to try something else.
Right. I'm trying to remember. I think it's on Too Young, Run to Him. Oh, was it that song? The name of the song slipped my mind, but there's a song that sounds like it could have been on Phase 3. It had Wayne's rock guitar on it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if that was recorded during the same time.
Like I said, I'm thinking that they just recorded a lot of stuff. I mean, there could be some great Osmond stuff in the vaults. Because they could have recorded 60 songs and released only 45 of them on a span of a couple albums and singles.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. Oh,
yeah, so
please tell me what years of variety show. 75 to 77. Kelly chimes in 76 to 79.
You talk about the Donny Marie. Yeah, I
Donny Marie show. Yeah. But didn't they have that initial run and then they came back? Didn't they have I
thought they had a couple years and then they may have come back for another half a season or a season.
Yeah, maybe.
But then they put out Going Coconuts and that sort of that killed the thrill, so to speak.
Not in my heart, though.
No.
Locked away in the vaults is also a big-eared Osmond Wilbur.
Wilbur.
Oh, DC.
Wilbur Osmond.
So anyway, what's your thoughts on this record?
I like this album. I don't think it's the strongest. It looks like that picture might have been taken around the same time as the Love Me for a Reason.
Yeah, it looks like that photo shoot, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Same kind of lighting.
Yep.
I think that they were recording all this at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they were so darn busy.
Yeah. Well, this was the end of the line for MGM. And now, so in 75, I know that the next record is Disco Train. It's on Polydor. What happened in 1975? Was there anything? Do you know anything going on?
I have no idea. That was probably them focusing, just trying to get the Donny Marie show together. Because if it started in January 76, now this is an album. Okay. Disco Train is an album that in my opinion, is totally misunderstood because people look at it and they think it's just going to be a straight disco record.
But
it's not.
Mm-mm.
The album starts with Come On Marianne, which the Four Seasons had done in the 60s. But if you pay attention, they're basically stealing the intro. They're stealing the arrangement from the Doors, Touch Me. Bump, 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 and it's almost direct, but it's, different chords and stuff like that. But throw on Come On Marianne. I believe the same version of the song is also on one of the Donny and Marie albums. They threw it on one of the Donny, but Come On Marianne is it should have been a massive single. Should have been a hit. Should have been a comeback single,
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't.
But this record, okay, think about it. We're in the mid 70s. We haven't anything from Donny. Well, of course he was a TV, I think, but there was no album. That's quite a bit of a break between records in the 70s. So when this came out on Polydor, yes, there's some disco on it. I don't find anything on here that's offensive or anything. I think vocally Donny sounds great. I think he sounds much more mature. This stuff's a lot different than the MGM stuff, I think.
Sometimes he sounds like Meryl.
Yeah, 100%. But this record didn't do anything on the chart, Steve. It only got up to 145.
I think just the title alone. If you go and if you listen to the song
Disco Train.
If you listen to the song Disco Train, it's not disco. It's like rock and R&B. There's Come On Marianne was great. Old Man Auctioneer is a fun song.
He said Donny's a young hip Barry Manilow. No, he's not.
Swingin' City Gal kind of has swing music. I Follow the Music was that Disco Donny. Now here's my pet peeve about the album. On the songs I Follow the Music and Disco Train, they have fake audience.
But it could be like the Benny and the Jets thing. I listened to it. It didn't bother me that there was fake audience on it.
Right. I don't mind it if it fades in and fades out. The audience fades in, but the audience is through the whole recording. But it's canned audience. It's not real.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But
I really like this album.
I like this album too because it's much more mature.
Yeah.
Even though it was a failure. It was a much more mature effort, and I think it represented Mr. Osmond a little bit better, I think, because I think he's probably what?
See all these CDs?
Never saw one.
Most of them were commercial failures. I do not let hits or failures. Oh, hold on.
Bless you.
Hold on.
Bless you.
Excuse me. They usually come in threes, but I think that was just a twofer.
Victoria loves Barry Manilow.
I love the first couple.
The problem with Barry Manilow now is he can't move his face.
Yeah. Dr. Lyra.
I mean, is that guy pulled tight or what? But look at Kenny Loggins. I don't know if Kenny can move his face.
Yeah, it's true. In fact, I think that
Kenny
Rogers borrowed somebody else's face. Oh, Kenny Rogers.
He turned into a different guy and then he died.
Yeah, exactly.
Schnee is a rebel.
My face. See, it doesn't even look like. And that was the end of Kenny Rogers.
Donny's audience grew up and wanted a man. Well, I like this album cover. I've never seen a real one. I had to listen to it. Well, I listened to it. I can't say how I've got it, but I've got it.
Yeah.
So far I like what I hear. I'm hearing on these later records. I prefer much more mature Donny, and the material's good. The production is good. I mean, is this a 5-star album? I wouldn't say so, but I love the Osmonds records a lot more than the Donny songs.
Yeah.
You know how giddy I was over this.
Yeah.
Damn Osmond album.
See,
but it's okay. It's it's not a bad record.
It's just like, do you like Pipes of Peace more than you like Abbey Road?
100%.
What, you like Pipes of Peace more than Abbey Road?
No. I don't have a problem with Pipes of Peace though.
Oh, okay. Okay, now here's the thing about Donny and any other teen stars. Let's say you've got a built-in audience of 12 to 14-year-olds, and you've got their attention for at least 2 years. But then they get old enough and they want to hear something different. So do you change with them, or do you stay the same and bring in another group of 12 to 14-year-olds? Well, you don't want to stay there, because then it's just going to get creepy when you're 37 years old and still appealing to 12 to 14-year-olds. So you want to grow with your audience. And I think that's what Donny was doing. But I think that like in 76, everything was changing. Disco was big.
Yeah.
New Wave was almost about to come in. Prog was there. There was the singer-songwriters. Music was different. And I think that the Osmonds, just both Donny and the group, they just got lost in it. But they were able to save themselves when the Donny Marie show came along, and all the family dropped whatever they were doing and just focused on that, focused on the success, because that's what families do. They want to lift members up, and that's what they did with the Donny Marie show for the next 3 years.
There you go. I could never have been a teen idol. I was shaving at 12. We've learned a lot about DC tonight.
Yeah.
Punk was coming, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye, guys. Love you. Well, I'm glad someone loves me. Thank you.
Bye, Annie.
Look, there's Gary Wilkerson
Hey,
Jr.
Gary Wilkerson Jr. And look, yeah, and he's wearing a Ski Lodge shirt in that picture.
Hell yes, he should be.
Yep.
Look, see, there it is.
There you go. The rare out of
the
print.
Annie fan club is leaving. All right, bye Annie, bye Annie. All right, so anyway, we got one more record. Donald Clark. Let me bring up the graphic, because I've never seen a real one of these.
I saw it on vinyl, but it's never been on CD.
Never.
I mean, I remember when this came out.
I don't.
I can tell you right here, it looks like a high school senior picture.
Yeah.
And that was the kind of guy that I didn't hang out with, because he looks like he's kind of smart and all the girls would like him. And I'm not smart and the girls don't like me. So it's I would
DCO, yes.
But this was, again, people are going to think it's disco, but it's not. It's like a soul record.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs were written by Brian and Eddie Holland?
Yeah, they produced it. They produced it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good players. I think
Lee Ritenour's on the
Lee
album.
Lee Ritenour's playing guitar on it. There's a lot of good musicians. This is to be quite honest, Schnee, this is my favorite of the lot.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah. I think it's a good record.
I'm bummed it's not on CD.
I don't know why it's not on CD, but it only reached 169. It didn't chart in the UK. I mean, this was the conclusion of his 70s stuff. He didn't do anything until 1990 again.
Yeah.
But out of all the records that I've listened to, this is the one that resonated. I did a resignation.
Resonated. Yeah.
Resonated with me the most.
Yeah. I resignated to pronouncing resonated.
The instrumentation, the sequencing. I think it's a decent record. What a way to go out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, that's not what people wanted.
No.
And if you listen, if you pay attention to this record, it doesn't sound like an Osmonds record. President of the Chess Fan Club. It does not sound like an Osmond album. It doesn't sound like a Donny Osmond album. He's moved on from that and adapted or adopted or Guadalupe, whatever you want to say, a more mature sound and an R&B sound. Like we said, Brian and Eddie, two guys from Holland, Dozier, Holland.
Yeah.
Just not Dozier.
Well, yeah, DC, I think you probably like this because if anybody can handle that type of vocal, Donny can definitely handle it.
Yeah.
And I think he sounds great on this record. If I was going to recommend one, this is what I would recommend. And it's a shame that it's never come out digitally, as far as I know. I don't think it's ever been. I don't know if you can stream it. I listened to it on YouTube.
Me too.
But I don't know if it's ever been reissued, and I know it's never come out on CD.
See, I don't think that I bought this when it first came out on vinyl. I had all the other ones. But I don't think I bought this, but I did end up buying it many years later, because you can find it, unfortunately, in the used bins, just like all the other Osmond albums. Um, excuse me. And but since I got rid of my vinyl a couple decades ago, I haven't been able to hear it. So I think back in October, November, something like that, I listened to this on YouTube, and I did searches for it, and I don't even find bootleg versions of it out there.
Yeah.
CDRs or whatever.
So I think all these records have something to offer, but I think if you're really going to go down that rabbit hole, for me, I think maybe all you really would need is a good greatest hits comp from Donny. All of his best stuff. I mean, that, and if you could get a hold of this 1977 Polydor record, I would recommend that too. And I don't mind Disco Train, but I think Donald Clark Osmond, I think, is a better record. Both of those Polydor records, I mean, if you would see them, I'd say pick them up. And then I think really just the greatest hits. I mean, it's not like those Osmonds albums where I think you really do need the record, like The Plan, Crazy Horses, Phase 3, because as albums, those are really great.
Yeah.
And Donny's never really, like you said, he had a different type of market. His goal was basically just hit singles and then we'd have a record, some people would buy the record. But
I like his solo career. I think each album, like you said, has some really great stuff. I think a few of the albums stand out, above the others. But at the same time, do you just want to get My Best to You and Donald Clark Osmond? Some people might be satisfied with that, but I wouldn't, because
you're a completist.
I'm a completist, but also I'm familiar enough with these records to where I know one day I'm going to go, oh, I want to hear, such and such a song, and it's not on any of the best of. So then I'm just going to go, oh, I got to go download it or whatever. I'd rather just have the CD.
If you can get them.
Yeah.
That is yet another problem.
Yeah, true.
To get any of that stuff. But I think for most people, just the good greatest hits from Donny probably.
Yeah, there's also, if somebody just wants like the cream of Donny stuff. Well, first off, the song Do You Want Me? We Can Make It Together. If you really want to hear, I think the ultimate version of that, get that Real God Music compilation by Stephen Eady, which has like their best sort of rock and pop type singles.
Is it like a 2-disc set?
No. It's on that.
Something else.
It's on that 2 or 3 CD set. But this is I think it's called Ultimate Hits or something like that. But it came out last year on Real God Music. And it's just stellar. It's just stellar. But here's a 2 CD Ultimate Osmonds. And what this has, this has Osmonds, Donny Osmond, Donny and Marie, and it has a good variety from each of them, plus Jimmy as well. The only thing I don't like is it has the live version of Jimmy, Long-Haired Lover from Liverpool, where I want the studio version.
It's also got a long extended version of Crazy Horses, which I think was remixed.
Yeah, like a 90s remix or something. Yeah.
Which is fine. It's okay. But
it also has the original too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would not take the place of the original. I'm just saying.
No, never.
It's kind of nice to have it.
Yes.
And that's a UK comp. That's
yes.
I think it was on Decca, maybe. I can't remember.
The Osmond Mania is a single disc.
I'll throw that big. I don't have that.
That should be easier to get.
Yeah, that's still in print.
Yeah, and that has Osmond's hits, Donny Osmond's hits, Donny and Marie hits, and Jimmy Osmond as well.
So it's out there.
Yes.
I wonder if I can make that. There we go. So yeah, the Donny catalog's not something I will probably really go back and listen to. Once you hear it, I mean, there's some stuff, but I'm much more of the Osmonds guy.
Yeah.
I just think that they got a bad rap. There was a lot more to him. Robert Christgau, the critic, got him though. He gave him good reviews. He thought that, some of those records might not be they could be stronger, but he saw a lot of potential in them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You
But
see,
Donny's fine. There's nothing wrong with Donny, but he was just on a different thing.
It's more pop, more sort
pop.
of middle of the road pop. I would say easy listening, pop, bubblegum, a mixture of all that kind of stuff, plus a few rock things in there. There's some soul and R&B in there. And he has a lot of great songs in this catalog. But the Osmonds albums are stronger than his solo stuff. Yeah. Wilbur Osmond.
See you, Angie Webb. Grant, I will take you to the next concert. Sure you will. See you Saturday, DC. All right. Well, we've went an hour. We might as well wrap this dog up.
Yeah.
So I've already told you my opinion. Steve's a completist. He wants it all, baby.
Yeah, I've been an Osmond fan since I was a kid because of seeing him on TV, hearing the songs on the radio. I remember very early mornings when it was still dark out and listening and hearing One Bad Apple blaring out of my dad's alarm clock. And I have memories like that, certain songs and so I probably take the Osmonds way more seriously than most people out there, because I also honor that whole family thing and how they persevered and they survived this business intact. Of course, we lost Wayne earlier this year, and but they're still out there.
Yep.
And one, I think that Jimmy's had a stroke. I believe that I know that that Alan has had issues. I think it was
Yeah, didn't he wheelchair
MS?
bound?
Yeah.
Or is it I think it might be MS.
Yeah. I apologize that I don't remember what it was, but he's still active. He just put out a book. I believe that Merrill just put out a book.
Yeah.
Merrill's very active in social media, and they're all active in their church, of course, Church of Mormon. And Donny has a Vegas residency.
There you go, Kathy. We'll go out to Vegas and see Donny.
Yes, and then I'll meet you there.
Schnee will meet us.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's fun just talking about Grant's 25 miles from me. Schnee is 2020. 2,200. Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Donny, check it out. Let us know what you think. It's no Osmonds. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm totally sold on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good exercise anyway. But if I saw Donald Clark Osmond out there for sale or a CD would come out of it, I'd pick it up. So
yeah. And then there's a few albums that came out in the late 60s that still aren't on CD. At least officially, as far as I know, that were kind of almost sunshine poppy. Between the Barbershop and between that first.
What label were those? Were those independent or what? They were on a major label though.
I don't remember, but they were Japanese only.
So
the albums
Japanese, yeah,
they were very popular in Japan even before they were popular here.
Yeah. And I don't know if those ever really got a legitimate release. I know you can go on Discogs and look.
Yeah,
they're out there, but some of that Japanese stuff's kind of gray market. They have different rules and regulations than we do in the States.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they ever got a domestic release here back in the day in the early 70s at all. Capitalize on what was going on with Osmond Mania.
There's one song on here. Let me find it. And then I'll let you guys go. I can't live. Shoot, I forgot. Well, there's one song on here. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a single from like 1968. And then the Osmonds became very, very popular. So they released it on an independent label to capitalize on their fame in like 1970, 71 or whatever. And they put it on this compilation. So that's the only place I know to find that song on CD.
Well, at least I have that.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching the show. We've talked a little Donny Osmond. I never thought this day would get here, but it did. Let us know in the comments what you think. I mean, it is what it is, but I do like that later 70s period a lot better. So,
Yeah.
Partridge Family's next. Exactly.
Partridge Family. Then somebody else mentioned David Cassidy solo as well.
Yeah, that could be. I'd have to study that.
Yeah.
But all right.
Hold on.
Oh, wait. Don't go yet. Don't go.
Here is a David Cassidy 80s album here.
Let me make it big. Okay.
That's his new wave period. Here's 2 of his 70s albums on one disc.
And that's on 7Ts, right?
Yep. Yeah. 2 of his 70s albums on one disc.
Of course, you've got all those.
2 of his 70s albums on disc.
Yeah.
And I was looking for it looks like there's a pretty good chance that I'm not going to be able to retrieve my files. So I was looking for my Partridge Family CDs. I found those, but I can't find my Partridge Family. And those are also on 7Ts. So 2 albums on.
Do you have the final Partridge Family one?
I don't remember.
What was it? Bulletin board or
it's either bulletin board or crossword puzzle. I always forget because like the ones I really dug was Partridge Family, Up to Date, Shopping Bag. Those are probably my 3 favorite. Oh no, one more. Which is the one that had One Night Stand, Another Show.
You got me.
It was the 4th album.
DC got drugged to a David Cassidy concert and Michael Bolton.
Did he get drugged to a David Cassidy concert by Michael Bolton?
I'd like to know that myself.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. All right. Well, please like, subscribe if you haven't. If you haven't checked out Steve's channel, check it out. CD Junkie. Always got good content out there. He's just a CD junkie fool.
Yeah,
making a lot of. He likes music.
Music geek.
With his mullet. Who's
my
mullet?
what?
I don't. Someone's mullet.
Oh, maybe Michael Bolton's mullet.
Oh, I like that. All right. Well, anyway, let us know what you think of David Cassidy.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Exactly.
So, all right. We'll see you on the next one. Oh, yeah. What are we doing? We're doing something tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday? We doing something tomorrow?
Is it tomorrow or next week? I think it is tomorrow. That's right. My day is ruined now. Mm-hmm. We're doing 2 shows tomorrow. We're doing, it's tomorrow. We're doing Missing Persons at 4 and T-Rex at 5.
Holy crap. It's a lot.
Yeah, maybe
we might do one.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll do one or the other.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll be back for more. Schnee will be back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you. Keep it real. Thank you, Mr. Schnee.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good night.